Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today we're going to be talking about map design for first-person shooters and some of the most successful maps ever made. We're also going to be discussing some of the biggest problems with modern games such as Battlefield 4 and why their map design is failing on a massive scale. Now, since the beginning of competitive shooters, maps have had what we call paths. These are basically routes to get through the map to get to your objective. For example, in the classic map Dust 2 from CounterStrike, probably one of the most popular competitive maps of all time. Here we have a very basic pathing system. Terrorists spawn here, counter-terrorists spawn here, and there's one path to Bravo. It goes through here. There's a path over here called Long A that goes all the way up to A. And then the center path kind of splits in two parts. You can take the catwalk and go up here also. There's also some crossover points here, which are sort of connectors, as you might call them. So the main paths are the one that get you from one end of the map to the other end, or towards your objective, basically. The layout of the map is very easy to understand, and the paths, for the most part, don't give you line of sight into other paths. If I go through Long A here and I'm moving this way, I can't shoot across and get somebody on this path here. This is its own environment, its own combat area. I only have to worry about guys coming from behind me or in front of me. There could be people hiding over here, of course, but this is its own combat area again. So it's kind of been sectioned off. Once you hit this path area, you have kind of predictable encounters. Again, when you're going on the short path overhead here, once you get up to this location here, you just worry about behind you and in front of you. You don't have to worry about left, right, up, down, all that stuff. So once you're on your path, you're kind of in a set environment. Obviously, you have more complicated areas like right here. You got to check to your right, you got to check ahead, and you also have to worry about behind you. So, there's certain areas of the map where things get more complicated, but for the most part, it's pretty simple and very predictable. This allows good players or just people who know the map well to basically control their engagements and control what kind of fights they're going to get into. Let's take a look at Grand Bazaar from Battlefield 3. In my opinion, one of the best laid out maps in any Battlefield game to date. We've got a spawn location up here. This is for the Conquest game mode. This would be Conquest Large, although Conquest Normal is pretty much the same map. These are the two spawn points in the location here. So both teams kind of run to this corner of either end of the map. As you can see, it's a large rectangle. Both teams can either break off going down the main streets, so you have these paths here, or you can go straight into the center of the map and use the center path right there. Each path also has slight breakoffs here, which we'll call connectors. And this path over here connects there, and it also breaks off. This path here connects over here, and it also breaks off. The map is virtually identical across the way. It looks very different when you're on either end, and the actual combat areas themselves play out a little bit differently, but the pathing itself is very, very similar on either end. So it's really well balanced, and it also provides paths that don't allow you to basically shoot from one path into another. If I'm in the center alley here, I can't shoot across into that path. I can't shoot across into that path. And it's basically going to section me off into my own little combat area. Something that I think is very important to have good tactical engagements. If I'm going down this alley, I have to worry about what's in front of me and what's behind me. There's definitely the shoot-off points. Once I get up here, I got to worry about left, and then once I get up here, I got to worry about right. You're always worrying about what's in front of you, but still, all things considered, you can still move through this map very tactically, anticipate your enemies, and predict flanking maneuvers. The map itself plays out best with about 32 to 24 players. It certainly is a bit more dense than Counter-Strike, as Battlefield has always been, but there's still enough pathing so that if you see one area or one alley that is just way too intense and you can't go down it, there's usually an alternative route nearby. Also, something worth mentioning is the very limited amount of vertical gameplay in this map. We have an overpass here, an overpass here, an area here that allows for about 3 stories of vertical elevation looking over this spawn point, and then an area back here that allows for some vertical elevation, and then just some kind of small cheap areas that you can get up in here, not by level design, but you can kind of cheat it. But for the most part, it's all ground level, so you're only worrying about targets that you can see on your own ground level. There's also a few building tops like around here and over here that you can get onto too, but those are also destructible parts of the environment. So again, moving around the map, worrying about what's in front of you, to the left of you, to the right of you, provides sort of simple engagement areas, enough to the point where it can still be very tactical, predictable, and in my opinion, provide some very good tactical gameplay. Now let's take a look at Dawnbreaker for Battlefield 4. This is the TDM version of this map. It's one of my favorite maps for Battlefield 4, but I still don't really like it that much as far as maps go. So you look at the general spawn locations for each team. You kind of have a spawn in this general area or sort of back here, and then you'll have a spawn location over here. That's at least when the round begins. And let's build out the paths. Well, you can kind of go up into this building here and make it across in A. There's multiple rooms in here, and there's sort of a split off over here that comes back around. This building here has got definitely a split off there, and you can go on the outside down and make sort of a straightaway for this. There's also sort of a bigger open path down here in the streets with some buses for cover, and kind of a subterranean path that goes parallel to it. So there's a lot of parallel paths in this map, most of which are in line of sight of each other. On the other side, we've got the big open road on the side here. We've also got sort of a catwalk that goes up and around back here. And then we've got this sort of area in here that's got a lot of little jumbled up cover. And there's also a stairway that goes basically in this area and allows you to get up into this room here and also around this way there. Not to mention the connectors that come through here and come through here, and then this building here is just complete chaos. So this is where pathing really starts to break down in Battlefield. And let me just show you how bad it really gets. Now if you control this building here next to C Point, basically this building here has got domination over one entire half of the map. If you are in this side of the building there, you can basically get a viewpoint that overlooks this whole path of the map there. So let's go ahead and fill that in. This is basically, if you're in this area of the building, you can see everything in here. You can close off these three paths, and you're also basically obstructing this one path here. If you're in this end of the building here, not only are you looking over on a spawn location, but you've basically got line of sight on anything going on right there. Again, you can get into the building here, in which case you have line of sight on some more stuff over here. So controlling this building here pretty much dominates one half of the map, and it breaks down a lot of the pathing. You might have thought that we had a lot of parallel paths going here. Unfortunately, this building here gives you line of sight into pretty much all of these parallel paths, and that is really one of the biggest issues with the current state of Battlefield 4 map design. They do a lot of vertical gameplay. This building here is elevated, and it basically allows players who play in the right parts of the map to look down into other areas of the map that are generally considered paths and could be good, fun combat areas if people were only playing in those areas. But now they have top-down areas to look into the other parts of the map and basically get a huge tactical advantage and basically destroy the pathing that goes on in the map, ruining what I would call tactical gameplay and basically obstructing your ability to control any sort of engagement. One map that demonstrates this particularly well is Siege of Shanghai on Conquest or TDM. At first glance, it might look like there's some decent pathing going on here. We got a spawn point over here, spawn point over there. Players can go through this main road, come down this main road. There's a connector here. You can even zigzag through the buildings. You can go through this building. You can come in through over here. There's lots of different little pathing and stuff going on in here, but for the most part it does look like there's some decent pathing going on. But let's check out the vertical gameplay in this map. We all know you can get on top of this shopping mall via an elevator or a few ladders. Once you get up there and you secure it, you basically have domination of the whole map. Let's take a look at what kind of visibility you get once you're on the roof. As you can see, we quickly start to fill up most of the map with green, which is the area that you can see. Not to mention you can actually shoot down into the mall itself, so you can actually control C Point very well from the rooftop, and there's even a glitch little spot that you can capture C if you go prone on the roof itself. And I'm actually embarrassed to say it, but this is actually one of Battlefield 4's better domination and TDM maps. Now that's pathing and vertical gameplay, big picture stuff that you're going to want to draw down on a little notepad before you even begin designing a map to make sure it's balanced and plays out right. But what about the smaller scale stuff? Just simply trying to get around the map in a tactical fashion as an individual player. Let's take a look at this single doorway on Langkang Dam. Now let's take a look at the process of trying to exit this doorway in a safe manner. Well, what kind of areas do you have to worry about? There could be players hiding over here. There could be players hiding over here. You can actually head glitch behind this whole truck here, giving you a nice shot. This little area there, this car, there's another truck corner that you got to worry about, this container corner. Anybody at any point down the map here, behind this container, behind this wall here, behind this wall here, right in your face maybe right there, anywhere along this wall, on this angle here, behind this container right there, behind this angle right there. Basically, you've got a nearly infinite amount of angles you have to check off when exiting this door. Do you turn right? Do you turn left? This is your basically the angles that you got to worry about. You got 180 degrees from exiting this door that you need to worry about. So how do we fix that? How did the map designer mess up here? Well, let's do a little bit of our own map tweaking and see what we can do to fix this angle that the level designer missed. Well, what happens if we put a box here? And you'll have to excuse my box illustration skills, but you get the idea. Say a big container that nobody can see through. Well, now when you exit this door, you only have to worry about a 90-degree angle right off the start. So you can come through and you can check right. Before you even move out the door, you can look straight ahead of you and clear off all these points over here. And then as you move out the door, you can check off that angle over there. That is now how you can tactically exit that door if there is a box there. Now let's do the same thing, but put the box on the other side and make it a greater distance from the door. What happens? Well, we got the same size box approximately right there. Exiting the door, you have a bigger angle that you have to worry about, much larger. You don't have to worry about people hiding here, which honestly is a big dangerous angle. So as you're exiting the door, before you even exit the door, you can look straight in front of you, see the guys over there, and then as you're coming out of it, it makes a little bit more sense to check your right angle instead, because you've got all these angles over here. Huge area of the map where people can be coming from, so chances are there's going to be somebody there. Then as you move forward a little bit, you can kind of come around and check that angle there to make sure nobody's coming up that way, or you can move up to the box and slowly come around there. Even one small box here limits the angles that you can die from pretty drastically. And even when adding boxes and trying to reduce the angles of exposure in some of these maps, I still think Battlefield 4 maps are way too open. Now, the engine looks great and you can design all these big, wide open maps that look just wonderful, but what does it do to the actual gameplay? It's very different from other shooters. No other games really have maps that are this open and lack this kind of tactical movement throughout the maps. The largest challenge that a lot of these map designers face is trying to make maps that are open enough to facilitate a lot of players being able to move around and not get in each other's way, but also try and make it tactical at the same time. Unfortunately, I don't think you can really balance the two that well overall, and Battlefield 4 has really shown that. Previous games in the Battlefield franchise have had specific maps that were designated for 64-player gameplay, and some of the TDM maps would scale their size based on how many players. In Battlefield 4, the size of a TDM map stays exactly the same whether or not it's 12 players or 64 players. Vertical gameplay is more prevalent in the Battlefield 4 map designs than any other Battlefield game I've ever seen, and in many ways I think it's ruining the pathing and your ability to move through any map in a tactical manner. So I would stress to not only the Battlefield 4 developers or any future Battlefield developers, but just level designers in general, whenever you think about integrating vertical gameplay, please do it with a lot of reservation and just in certain tactical areas. Test it out a lot and make sure it's not too overpowered. Overpopulation and lack of pathing breaks down your ability to navigate a map tactically, and in my opinion reduces the fun factor whether you're a novice or a pro. Anyway, that wraps it up for my theories for map design and why I think Battlefield 4 maps have been some of the least fun maps that I have played in any Battlefield game to date. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Have I overlooked some aspects of the map design? I would love to hear. As always guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.